Hi guys, it's me again. It's been a while. I've been extremely busy. Um, this is a newer customer here. I've been starting to do quite a bit of work for these guys. What I'm out here today doing is a couple different things. I'm pointing to a D8N they're ripping with over there, and I had to pull one of the ripper pins out. These guys are extremely meticulous about their equipment. If they have a pin or anything that won't grease, they want you to come in, remove the pin and make it take grease, whatever you got to do to make it take grease. So they really take care of their equipment. The owner basically tells them if it doesn't take grease, you don't run it till it takes grease. So he runs a pretty tight ship here, I'll tell you that. If you drive down through this place, it's absolutely meticulous and just well kept up. So anyways, I had to get up there, and it was one of the upper pins that wouldn't take grease. So what I had to do there is I had to make as you can see here, I'm pointing towards the plate. I took a piece of 1-inch plate I had and a piece of heavy walled tubing, and I tacked it to the other ripper frame, side frame there, and then I didn't have to hold that piece, and I could get my hollow ram up in there and press on it, and I pressed it out, cleaned it up, and got it to where it would take grease and pushed it back in with my 30-ton press. Anyways, that green thing I'm pointing to there that says Lacos on it, that's a sand trap. This is a turbine here. This turbine pulls the water. I don't know how deep it's pulling the water on this hole, but I didn't even really look at the horsepower. Sometimes you can tell kind of roughly how deep they're pulling the water based on how much horsepower you see a big 250 horse turbine, and you know it's a long ways down to the water. So anyways, I didn't take this apart. That shiny piece there, that's the piece I built, which ain't much there. The other ones I actually built for them were more complicated than that one. They had some Ys in them, and one of them had a lateral. But anyways, the problem I had with this one, mocking it up in the shop, is because it was a 12-inch to a 10-inch flange, and so it's kind of hard to really get your holes lined up clocked right without actually mocking it up in place like I'm doing. And as I say again, I didn't take this apart, and I'm used to doing things the way that I used to do them when I used to build these all the time for the strawberry nurseries. I had started from scratch, and I always put my check valves up against either the booster pump or the turbine, and I'll explain boosters in a minute. So I just, force of habit, I stuck the check valve up there against the turbine. As you can see, the flanges don't match, and I figured that out. In a minute, going, what the hell's going on here? So I drove up to there and thinking maybe he grabbed the wrong check valve, and then it dawned on me, well, you dummy, somebody built this and they put the check valve further downstream. So that's what happened. So anyways, I figured it out in a minute. It's a little slow, but I caught on. Anyway, this is a turbine. There's no booster. So the place I used to work at, we were actually in an irrigation district where everything ran off a pipeline, but the irrigation district itself was responsible for pressurizing the pipeline, and usually you had a big gate valve or butterfly valve, anywhere from a 8-inch to a 20-inch valve there, depending on how much, how big the pipe was coming out of the ground, because the pipeline in that valley, they had varied sizes of pipeline in different fields throughout the years. So anyways, the customer, I guess you could say, or the landowner, was responsible for boosting the pressure for irrigation system. And the irrigation system was anything from farmers in the valley there had wheel lines on them. If you've ever seen a wheel line, they could be solid set pipe, 3-inch hand line. Solid set pipe is usually for row cropping, strawberries, potatoes, things like that. Or a lot of the hay guys went to pivots. They got rid of the wheel lines and they're all on pivots now. So anyways, when I was a kid, we didn't have any of that. We had flood irrigation. We took our we had a little deal that would would make a little furrow, and it would pull up a furrow in the field, and what we called checks. And then we would pull up our checks in the field there, and then we had little stand pipes that we'd put in the drain ditch there, and it would actually go into the field there and flood irrigate it. So then we went to wheel lines, and then we were really, we really thought we were shitting in tall cotton when we got wheel lines. Now these farmers, they've got automated drip irrigation systems. I watched one of my customers. He turns his irrigation on and off with his smartphone sitting in his house. He doesn't even have to go out to the field anymore. It's just in the last 30 years how the technology has transformed in the agricultural industry is absolutely astounding. You can just see that in the equipment. You look at how we used to get on an old 4020 John Deere or a B model John Deere and rake hay. I've still had a customer when I first went on my own. He was still using a B model John Deere to rake hay with, and now they've got auto steer on everything and GPS, and most of these guys won't even get in the tractor unless it's got a cab in it. You don't see very many open station tractors anymore. But here's where I'm starting to figure out that it's not the right size there, ding dong. So anyways, I figured it out eventually there. I was just used to putting the check valves up against it there, and somebody built this and just did things a little different than me, and I didn't take it apart as well. Okay, I took that Rode mic off the camera there, so that thing is so sensitive to wind without the sock on it. Anyway, figured out what happened here. I didn't take this off, and the manager didn't take it off. Another guy he had working for him taking off, and he's not around today. As I was talking to him, and he was scratching his head trying to figure out what the hell was going on, he goes, that came off of there. And then I figured out what he did. He took that check valve, goes clear down here. That's what the deal is. Which I used to build these pump stations all the time, and the checks, we always put them right up against the turbine. So it goes there. It's just one of those deals where you just had to pull your head out of your ass to figure out where it went. As I was sitting there talking to him, I says, oh shoot, I know what the heck's going on. I says, that goes down there where I got that pipe bolted on there. That's what's going on. So that's what we're going to do here is get the old impact wrench and we'll take it back off. Oh, the battery. This big battery's too big for the gun there to get it in the drawer. And now we know what's going on. Had to pop the old head out of the old keister there. We'll get me an in wrench though. Yeah. He says, I don't know why he took that off anyway. Yeah, I don't either. Maybe he just needs more room, I don't know. Okay. So, in there, check valve. Always make sure the check valve is going the right way. You'll see there's a flapper here. That's the direction the water's going. Some of these, when you buy them brand new, they'll have an arrow on them so you can't screw it up. Take my there. I don't know if I should just get my block of wood and lay that on there. What happened is this thing got rotted out, and this guy, he don't like leaks. So he makes them get fixed during the winter, during the off season. Now that we've got things going our way and we figure out what the hell's going on, what happens when you don't take it apart, but I can't really say that. I've taken things apart, you know as well as I have, that have been months in the making of getting it back together, and you still go, what the hell did I do here? So the wind started whipping up again there, so I'll tell you what I'm doing here. So as I figured out where this went, this is the check valve, okay? So really, really important on well heads like this to have a check valve. Like I said before, we were in an irrigation district, but we even put check valves on the discharge sides of our booster pumps. Especially in the irrigation district, it was really, really important because we put a lot of chemicals in the water for fertilizer. We injected our chemicals on the discharge side of the pump. I'm trying to remember if we did it on the discharge side or the suction side. I think it was on the suction side. Yeah, we put them on the suction side of the pump. So you really, really wanted a check valve in there in case. I mean, if something happened and the booster pump shut down, and let's just say the likelihood of it happening, if the irrigation district is usually a pressurized system as well, the likelihood of it going back in is pretty slim. But if the booster shut off and you had the chemicals in your line, and they needed to work on the irrigation pipeline for the district, your chemicals could go back down, and those chemicals might be good for your product, whatever you're growing, but your neighbor down the road might be growing alfalfa, and that stuff might burn the shit out of it and kill it all. So it's like a really, really big deal it's a requirement, actually. It's a state law. I think it's a state law or county law. You have to have a check valve in your pipeline going to your field so you don't contaminate your neighbor with your fertilizer. So anyways, that's what I'm doing, and you've always got to really pay attention to what you're doing when you're putting your check valves in, and don't put it in backwards. And that's something I noticed on this system. Whoever built this system, they didn't put a relief valve on the discharge side of the turbine. When I used to build these pump stations all the time, I always put a you can't miss them. They're great big spring-loaded relief, and it's just a real simple thing. It just basically a poppet valve, and if you put the check valve in backwards and it came up and it deadheaded that turbine, it would protect the turbine pump and the motor, not break the shaft and end up dropping the bowls down in the bottom of the well. The relief would lift, and it would just spray all the water externally, and you can't miss them when they do that. I mean, you're talking, I don't know how big this one is. It looks like a pretty good sized turbine. It's probably a good 150 horse, 200 horse turbine. So usually when one of those reliefs pop on one of those, you can't miss it. You'll have a geyser out there. So I'm fitting my piece I made in up, and it's going from 10-inch where the check valve is, and then it's necked back up to 12-inch where the turbine matches up. And I cut it pretty close. I actually was pretty close on there, measuring it in the shop there from comparison to the old one, so I did pretty good on that part. Normally I wouldn't do this. I'm going to go ahead and weld it together, I'm going to go ahead and bolt it to here, because the way this is made, I've got forgiveness here that moves, so even if it's a little tight going back together, I can take it apart, put my gasket in there, so I'm not too worried about that end. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt this in together, get this end mocked up, and tack it, pull it back out, weld it up, and then I'll have to drive back up there and get the gasket. Bottom maybe. So while I'm welding this up, maybe I'll tell you a few things about what I've been doing here lately. Be honest with you guys, I've been really busy, as I always am, but I've been kind of, I don't know, I get frustrated sometimes with the YouTube thing. I shouldn't look at the comments, but I always do. I actually care about what people think, and I want to know if I'm doing good or doing right. But then there's one thing. There's one thing about constructive criticism, and there's just people that it's obvious by the first 3 words out of their mouth, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. But it gets frustrating, to me. It seems like I kind of vented to one of my YouTube viewers the other day. He was a really good guy. His name's Stacy up in Baker City, and it just seems like these guys, all they want to do is watch. I'm always hearing about this ZK Master Tech, and this guy gets on the comments the other day, and I'm not going to tell you his name, but he says, well, ZK Master Tech's got these really nice tools in his shop. Well, the key word is his shop. It's not his shop. He works for a dealer. That's the only thing he owns is the tools. I'm responsible for the service truck, the tools, the business liability insurance, the shopkeeper's insurance, the insurance on the truck, the tires on the truck, the oil on the truck, the insurance on the truck, the IFTA fees, the biennial, what do they call that? The biennial, biannual inspection report for the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety, whatever the hell they're called. I mean, I could sit here and list the on and on and on and on, all of the things that I am liable and responsible for. So I'm not running ZK Master Tech down, but I'm telling you what, um, some of these people don't have a clue. Yeah, for all the fees and all the bullshit that I have to pay for to run my business, I could have me a really nice toolbox sitting in the corner over there. And another reason is I don't have that really nice toolbox sitting in the corner in McDowell. I've got 2 Snap-on toolboxes, big ones, and they're plumb full of tools, but they're in Klamath Falls because I'm 35 miles away from my main shop in McDowell, where all my business is, and I'm not going to leave, $50,000 worth of tools down there to where somebody can pack them all off when I'm not around. So I leave them at home. And if I get a big project and I know where I'm going to need some special tools, most of my tools that I use every day, hand tools, stuff like that, are in my service truck. And I get spread out sometimes, and I'll need something down there I'll go, shit, it's back at home, and I'll just have to get it the next day. It's the way it is. But there's way too much theft going on anymore for me to leave that stuff laying down there like that. And I'm not trying to put old ZK Master Tech down or whatever his name is there, but you're comparing apples to oranges here. You're comparing an employee to an owner operator, independent mechanic. Complete different story. So wanted to clear that up, and I just get frustrated sometimes with some of the comments like that to people that just really don't have a clue. I don't know. Maybe they've never ran a business before. Maybe they've always worked for somebody. I don't know. But anyways, I'm back at it again. I'll see if I can get to 100,000. I don't know. I'm getting there at a snail's pace, but eventually I'll get there. I think you get some kind of plaque or something. I'll probably get a big plaque with a middle finger or something sent to me. Not really sure what they send you, but that's probably what they'll send me for being such a prick. Yeah, I know it's probably a little whining, but anyways, it just seems like people all they want to do is watch some guy in a big fancy shop with fancy tools and the glitz and the glamour, and they don't seem like they're too interested, in just a poor man trying to make it and start out with nothing and trying to build something, it seems like to me. But it is what it is. I guess I'll see if I can get to 100,000, and we'll see what happens from there. Anyways, I'll quit my bitching about that. But anyways, I'm welding the nipple on for the air vent, and then basically they're just an air vent with a little poppet in there, which I don't really understand why they got an air vent. I guess it works okay on this turbine, but I've seen guys put air vents on the suction sides of the booster pumps before, which doesn't work very well because as soon as you turn the booster on, it would suck the ball down for the air vent and suck air. So, anyways, maybe I'll start putting out some more videos here, and I won't try to whine so much. I appreciate you guys watching the video.